Ah, yes, the Godfather theme song. Got to play the Godfather theme song when we have Majority Leader of the State Senate of Virginia, Dick Saslaw, coming on. Hey, Senator, you got your own theme song here on the John Fredericks Show. What do you think?
Well, no one should mess with the Godfather. It's not good business.
Real. I tell you what, everybody is calling you that now. We started it right here on the John Fredericks Show. Somebody was talking about you the other day. I think it was Delegate Tim Hugo was on, and he said, well, you know, the problem with the Senate Democrats is the Godfather over there. So hey, you got this name going on. So happy Good Friday. Great to have you with us. And,
thank you. And back at you.
Now, President Obama comes on TV yesterday and he injected himself. He injected himself right in the Virginia Medicaid expansion debate. And he said right on TV, look, we have a number of states that are not expanding Medicaid. I'm preparing to fund that through the federal government. It makes no sense. He didn't say Virginia by name, but that was certainly top of mind. But there's a lot of Republicans that really don't trust this president on a lot of issues from the IRS on down. And so is he getting involved in this going to be an asset to your advocacy for Medicaid expansion, or will it hurt it?
Well, I don't think it probably does either. Mine's, at least at this point, on April, I guess 17th or 18th are set in one direction or the other. And to say that we don't trust the federal government, U.S. Supreme Court settled that issue. It can't be forced on the states. Okay, can't be forced on the states. Not only that, we got a letter from these folks at the Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services saying you try it for 2 years. If you don't like it, it's over and you're out of it. That letter, they said, well, how do we know? I mean, this is what you're hearing. Well, how do we know she had the authorization to sign that? Let me tell you this. First off, like I said, the U.S. Supreme Court's already settled it. They've told us that in the letter. There's in all of the plans that these states submit, they're requiring these people to sign waivers saying that if the program vanishes, so that if the government doesn't fund it, as they said they would, then the program vanishes. I mean, it's a phony argument, and everyone knows it, okay? We set up that Merck Commission, which in retrospect was a pretty bad idea. John, as Bill Hazel has pointed out, every time they think they've corrected any and all possible glitches, the goalposts get moved again. Well, what about this? What about that? There is no way, under the current makeup, the House members are ever going to, for Merck, are going to approve that. The other thing is that in all the audits, there's been quite a few of them that have been done for Medicaid in Virginia. You got this guy Garrett running around saying it's rampant fraud. You know what the rate of fraud payments are in Virginia?
What?
0.47 of 1%. 0.47. Does that sound like rampant fraud? You got more bank fraud going on than that. I mean, it's ludicrous. There's no reason. And when you think about it, they're cutting. The House Republicans are cutting, and go look at what the Senate budget is now that we sent over to the House.
Mm-hmm.
The House Republicans, in order to prevent these people from getting insurance, are willing to cut higher ed, K through 12, health and human services, to include a lot of money for mental health, all that, just so they don't have to give federal money, Virginia's taxpayer dollars, to these people. They would rather send them to the emergency room and force the Virginians to pay again with additional tax dollars. It doesn't make any business sense. And like I told you all last week, they're down to the NFIB, the Cato Institute, and Rush Limbaugh. That's their support. That's all they got left.
But yet when I talk to House members, they tell me that they're talking to their constituents and they went home and now they're more dug in than ever because they're telling me they're getting a consistent message from their voters, their constituents in their House districts that people don't want this thing expanded. They don't trust it. They don't think it's an efficient system. And so
I've gotten a single email saying, I've gotten one email saying don't do this. One email. That's all I've got. One email.
That's all.
After saying this, I'll probably get a batch from the listeners of your program. But I mean, I don't know who they tell you. I don't know who they tell you they're talking to. Yeah, you can go out and you can get advertised to the AFP and people like that. You're having a candidates. You're having a forum on that, and you show up. And in most of those rural areas, that's what'll show up. But there's only been one poll, and probably there ought to be another. Be interesting. And that was the Christopher Newport poll, and it showed pretty wide support for that. And I have yet to see, somebody told me there was a paper up in the Harrisonburg area, but every major newspaper in Virginia has come out in favor of this. There must be a reason for this. When you got the papers all around the state, particularly the Richmond Times-Dispatch, agreeing with the Washington Post, and you're sitting there telling me, and when I hear some of the legislators say the things that they're saying, they have no idea what Medicaid is all about. They have it's apparent to me that they're reading something and they have no internal knowledge as to how Medicaid works.
Well, give me an example of what that might be. Common Sense News Time 818. This is the John Fredericks Radio Network of Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia, and across the Commonwealth. We're with Majority Leader of the Virginia Senate, Dick Saslaw. We call him the Godfather, and he's got a tight grip on what's going on in there. So, Senator, you just said some of the comments made by some of the House members.
The most glaring example is the statement by Garrett, 35% fraud.
That's Senator Tom Garrett.
Where do these numbers come from?
Well, I think what he was saying is that there's people that estimate that it could be 35%.
No one estimates that. No one. Who estimates that? Garrett estimates that. They make this stuff up. When you start saying, I don't want to take it because I don't trust the federal government, excuse me, that's not a factual argument.
Well, many of them are saying that that there's a belief, Mr. Majority Leader, that simply the money is going to run out, and
the program's over.
But no one really believes that. I mean, there's never been an entitlement in the history of the United States.
We just took away pregnancy benefits. Some of the pregnancy benefits, as Bill Hazel pointed out, from some of the Medicaid programs last January. That's simply not so. There's another one right there.
So what you're saying is that you really you believe that if the federal government money runs out, the program's over. That's it. End of story. Okay. Mr. Majority Leader, you've said on our show many times, look, this isn't going to get resolved end of June or July. If we go into July, the government shuts down. I've had many local elected officials on my show who have said, oh, my God, this is chaos for us. Is it really worth shutting the government down over this?
No, it's not, except that I don't see the blame isn't on us. The blame is on them. All they got to do is say yes, and it's game over. That's all they got to do is say yes to $2 billion of federal money, and it's game over. No problem. How are we to blame?
Well, because the Republicans
we're going to turn away 400,000 people from medical insurance. It's totally irresponsible. All they got to do is say yes, and it's game over.
Well,
they're to blame. I mean, we're doing the common sense thing. They're not.
But what the Republicans are saying
is the budget. We sent them a budget. We haven't even gotten the budget back yet.
Why don't you just take Medicaid expansion out of that and deal with that separately, and then everybody's happy?
No. The only people who are happy are the Republicans in the House of Delegates.
No,
I'll tell you, my Fairfax County didn't tell me go ahead and do this. Sure, they would love to have that. But they also realized that we got a problem with all these people piling up in the emergency rooms.
All right, so it sounds like we're headed toward a shutdown, and then it's going to be a matter of how this thing gets resolved. No end in sight. 8:25. This is the John Fredericks Show. We're with the Godfather, Majority Leader of the Virginia Senate, Dick Saslaw. Now, we've got 2 congressional races coming up. For my audience that might not know this, 2 quick things on Saslaw. Number 1, he's a veteran, served in the Army from 1960-ish, Dick, somewhere in there?
58 to 60.
58 to 60, right. Served in the Army. And you probably also don't know that Dick Saslaw ran for Congress in, if memory serves me correct, 1984, right?
In the old 8th District.
And got beat by Stanford Paris, if memory serves me correct.
Stanford Paris.
Yes.
He was the incumbent. It was the year of the Reagan landslide. If the election would have probably been a day later or a day earlier, I had the 5th or 6th closest race against a Republican incumbent that year in the country. But you know what? It probably all worked out better for this.
So now there's 2 races. Let's go to the 10th first. You've been very active for the Democrat there, John Faust, who's likely going to take on Barbara Comstock. You serve with her in the General Assembly. You're quite familiar with her. And I think my judgment is she's going to win that firehouse primary hands down. I think she's going to get over 50%. That's my view. That seat's been held by Frank Wolf, the Republican.
Well, I wouldn't write Bob Marshall off that easily, but go ahead.
No, really. I mean, tell me why.
Well, I mean, look, a lot of people swear up and down he won that convention in 2008 that they wound up giving to Gilmore. I mean, I don't know, and Barbara probably will win it. But you know what happens is that you watch the Republican primary in the 10th and the Democratic primary in the 8th, and Barbara's got a voting record, and I can only guess that that's where she stands. And you listen to a few of the people in the 8th, who are seem to want to move as far to the left as they can, and that they're pitching their campaign to the people that way. I mean, how is that going to end gridlock when you get up there? And therein lies the problem with the way we've evolved to selecting candidates, is that you pitch to your party's farthest base,
mm-hmm.
And then by the time you get to Washington, you've given the store away, and there's no room to move to the center or to negotiate. Now, not all the candidates do that in all the primaries, but a lot of times that's where the winners are. And John, while there was a lot of criticism of it, say what you want, but in the old days when the smoke-filled rooms were picking the candidates, this country ran pretty damn well.
That's true. You can't argue with that. Okay, I got 2 minutes. I need predictions. Who do you think is going to win the Republican primary in the 10th district?
Well, I mean, people are saying right now that it favors Delegate Comstock, and that's, you're hearing that from those people. Probably it's moving in that direction. The only thing I'd say is that, again, Marshall has surprised an awful lot of people in the past. Over in the 8th, I now stayed out of it because so many of those people are my friends.
Right.
The names you hear the most frequently, first is I've heard more people tell me that Don Byer, they think Byer's in the lead, and in the other names that you hear, the names you hear second most has been Adam Eban, Senator Eban. So things don't change and you keep hearing the same thing, there'd be no reason to assume anything different. But again, you never can tell about these primaries.
That's right. You never know. You never know. And I do agree.
Well, you got a voting primary in the 8th. You've got a firehouse in the 10th. And of course, firehouse won't have as many as the other one will, and as many voters. So when you have that smaller, group picking, funny things can happen.
It's certainly going to be interesting. I'll give you my predictions, and then we're out of time. I think Barbara Comstock wins the 10th hands down, and I don't see anybody beating Don Beyer. I think he's going to be the nominee. You heard it right here on the John Fredericks Radio Network. We want to thank Majority Leader, the Godfather, Dick Saslaw, for being with us, and we wish yourself, Dick, and your family a great Good Friday and a happy Easter, sir. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Bye.